Welcome back to Kult of Athena's YouTube channel. I'm your host Tom. Today we're looking at the Landsknecht Emporium Falke Kriegmesser. This one is really sweet, great blade shape. Here's some specs, up close looks, and a little bit of movement with this blade. Alright, out of the gate, this one's a brand new one. It's in the news section on our website. I saw it when I was scrolling through for swords to review for the month because I collaborate on lists and then I go ahead and put a list together for the month on what to review for you guys. And this one, I saw it in the news section. I'm like, someone's going to buy that right away. There's no way they're going to send it to me. But they sent a list back, and they were like, hey, we can send this over if you want. So, really unique blade. I've done Landsknecht blades before. They're messers. And this is supposed to be in the messer or war knife category as well. It's just a much more unique one. I personally haven't seen a whole lot with that back swap of a blade. But you can read more about the history on this one and the collection this one is in on the website kultofathena.com. Looking at this from just holding it in hand and also quality, really nice. So we have a flat handle. The handle's wood cord, leather wrapped. It's a flat handle. I'm going to kind of tuck this because this is way too expensive to put on the ground. Have a notch right here, which is reminiscent of the Balor Arms Kriegmesser. That's a really nice feature. It's very subtle on this design, and what I mean by that is that little notch right here, we just called a notch for the sake of it. That's going to go right into the pads of your fingers, which is going to ensure a really nice grip, especially with something that has a back swap blade and just follow through in momentum. So looking at that, this can be used with two hands. It is definitely long enough to be used with two hands. It's kind of short for calling it a longsword grip, but you can still use it if you needed to reinforce that on the backhand. If you did need to grab or go into different guard positions from there. Let's say there's a bind you need to lift. That's a really kind of unique way to go about that. Cross guard, really sick. So much hand protection. So if you are holding the thrust out, the line to your hand is not very clear at all. Even if you're holding this out straight, I would probably rather go here toward the center. But having that wide cross guard is pretty awesome. We've got the nail. The nail's huge on this, but not in a bad way. So I'm not gonna like destroy my camera, but you can see how much protection there is on that outside to my right, your left. And if I'm holding more of a guard position in the center, the line in my hand on there on the outside is not. It's not a clear line, so it's really awesome. It's also really it just looks really good. I mean, having the nail be that gigantic, it just looks so sick. Blade shape on this one, it's way more back swept than any other messer that I've seen before. Even the Balor Arms one, I wish I had it. That's actually my favorite Kriegmesser, next to this one now. The back swap blade on this is really obviously there for cut. So even just going here with cut with this long and this different of a blade shape, maybe not different for all swords, but different for what I've used for Kriegmessers. But even going into wrist cuts with a single hand, vertical cuts on this thing, like punch cuts, they fly really well to get that back around. And even though the tip is a little bit more arced, if you are holding the thrust out, you can get around that into binds where it's not as clear, kind of being a little bit more sneaky with the thrust on that too. So you can still hold the thrust out of this and still have a lot of threat, in a martial arts dueling type of context. So really unique blade shape. I like it a lot. I'm not going to cut with this one because, one, it's super expensive, and I guarantee you someone's going to buy it after this. And we don't have the Tommy mats to do that anyway. So cut, really awesome. When I mean awesome, I mean very comfortable. Just really a really nice blade to cut with. So nothing, negative to say about that at all. And because the point of balance is pulled a little bit further back, it doesn't even feel that heavy at all. This has a sword belt attached. I think most of the Landsknecht Emporium ones do. So this has a sword belt attached. So this is all wrapped up very nicely. The leather is a really good quality leather. Holes that are punched out are done really clean. Nothing weird to say about that. You can see the stitching on the back. So really sick. I'm gonna go ahead and set the scabbard down somewhere nice, and that's not, you know, in the grass. And I'm gonna show you the utility knives that are attached to this. All right, I put the sword down just to, you know, put it somewhere safe while we talk about these utility knives. They are notched, and they have their own little nice little spot in the scabbard. They fit very snug, so they kind of pop out. Not pop out, but they just like slide out really nicely. And make sure I don't put this on the ground. These are just really nice utility knives. You're gonna see in the up close looks, they've got a nice tang to them. They're sharp, the edges are really clean, the tips are really pointy. Honestly, even if you were to train with 2 knives, if that was something that you do in your martial arts training, or if you don't care about that, if the handles were a little bit longer, I wouldn't really be against even training double knife with these. That's how nice they are. So really good utility knives, thick tang, thick enough to where it's like dependable and good steel quality. Brass 4-finger pieces, brass ferrules, brass rivets, and wood handles. So can't really go wrong with that, especially when they fit directly back into the scabbard to where they don't rattle or anything like that. They just fit very nicely, and it just looks very aesthetically pleasing. Let's go ahead and do a good amount of up-close looks of this blade, once I grab the blade, in the scabbard and out of the scabbard. All right, talking about movement, I'm going to move through cut, thrust, and guard. This thing has a really unique blade shape, so I want to show you an angle just from my other camera that you can see how much your hand is, the lines to your hand are protected behind this super wide guard. Let's take a look at that movement. Like front on for this view, especially with the guard and the nail. So look at how wide the guard is. I actually brought out the LK Chen Dragon Saber, so you can see here's like a saber. Most people who watch our channel know what a saber looks like, at least the size of it. So Look at the size of the guard in comparison to a saber, to the saber guard. So it's a massive guard on this Kriegmesser. And another thing too, because I already mentioned it, is like if you're holding a thrust position on the guard, which is very likely for something like this, look at how much protection you have for your hand. Even if I move this over, look how much protection you have for your hand. If you're backing cuts, you're gonna have a lot of protection too. But really, if we're holding that in thrust, I'll go this way so you can see it. You know, look how much protection I have for my hand in these different positions. The line in my hand is much more closed. So I wanted you to have that visual as well. That's that view of it, because that's one thing that makes this thing really unique. All right, so there you have it for the Falke Kriegmesser from Landsknecht Emporium. This one is a really unique blade. I've never seen one with this much of a curve to it, an arc to it, especially with a wider guard and 2 utility knives with a sword belt. This would be a really great one for, I would put it in the investment category of your collection. To buy this one, click the link in the description below this video to buy this one today. This is a really unique gift as well. So if you're looking to purchase a gift for someone who would be into this type of blade culture, or they just want something that's a power move to have at work even, I think that would be really rad. Either way, if you're interested in this one, you want to see more stuff from the Landsknecht Emporium, click the link in the description below this video. Check it out at kultofathena.com. I'm your host, Tom, for Kult of Athena's YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, follow us on TikTok and Instagram, and I'll see you.